The good news is I've committed to Dr. Frager, my dear friend, that I would keep this very, very short because I realize the hour is late. And so I brought my iPhone to the podium so I'd be able to keep a close eye on the stopwatch feature of my iPhone. Now the bad news. The stopwatch doesn't seem to be working tonight very well. But the calendar is, so I'm pretty sure I'll be finished by tomorrow. In all candor, I will not keep you long for the simple reason that everything that needs to be said has been said tonight. It's just that not everybody has said it, and that's why I get to come to the podium. There's a wonderful story about a farmer who bought a rundown farm out in the country, and it was dilapidated. The fields were overrun with weeds. They were filled with rocks. And it was just in terrible shape. But the farmer was absolutely committed to making sure that that farm would be productive. So he worked and worked and worked and worked. And one day, the rabbi, his rabbi, because he was a Jewish farmer, came to see it. And the rabbi looked around this now magnificent, beautiful farm and said, "Oh, what you and God have done with this farm is nothing less than magnificent." And the farmer looked up, wiped the sweat off his brow, and said, "Rabbi, you should have seen the place when God had it all by himself." It's a wonderful reminder to me that God uses human instruments to do miraculous things. And through many of you in this room, God has done miraculous things. Through your generosity, through your sacrifices, it's been possible that God's land, God's home for his people, is being restored one house, one neighborhood at a time. And having been traveling to Israel since 1973, I am amazed when people act as if that what the Jewish people have done in coming back in record numbers to Israel has done anything less than bring an extraordinary revival to this great land that God gave all the way back to the time of Abraham. The title deed is not in the hands of the United Nations, nor is it under the stewardship of the United States. It is under the hand, the mighty hand of Almighty God, who has chosen to give this land to his people. Now let me put that in context. I am not an Israeli, I'm an American. I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian. But I hope that I am objective enough to understand truth where truth is. And that's truth. And let me say something else in truth. There is no such thing as a realistic two-state solution that is hoisted upon the people of this earth, believing that two sovereign governments can operate on the same piece of real estate, especially when one of the so-called partners in that process does not believe the other partner even exists and has no right to live, much less live on that sacred, holy ground. It is simply impossible. The two-state solution, as it's been presented, is a wonderful piece of diplomacy, but it is delusional, and let me go further, it is disastrous, not only for Israel and the rest of the Middle East, it's disastrous for the world because it gives a foothold and a place for people who still to this day teach their children that it's an honorable thing to kill a Jew. Well, it is not an honorable thing to kill another human being. And it is not a worthy thing to celebrate terrorism and the terrorists. Over the years, I've taken thousands of Americans to Israel. And one of the things that I always enjoy doing is taking them into the old city and getting a Palestinian map. And I love to bring it out and unfold it, and then I say to those who are with me, show me where Israel is on the map. And they look, and much to their surprise, they don't find it. And I say, do you know why it isn't there? And there's silence. And I say, because the Palestinians do not acknowledge that Israel even exists, much less that it should maintain its own sovereign, secure, and safe home for the people to whom God gave this property. It's an eye-opening experience for many of the people who have never really fully understood that. Tonight, as we celebrate what you and God have done with your gifts to this wonderful organization that, as Joe has reminded me, I've traveled with 4 times to Israel to see firsthand the fruit of your labors, the fruit of your generosity. I'm reminded of something that yesterday in the United States we honored and observed. I don't say celebrate. You don't celebrate Memorial Day, you observe it. There's nothing to celebrate. You observe the fact that tens of thousands of American soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen have died, giving us the privilege of being citizens in this magnificent land. And every day I want to be grateful for their service and for their sacrifice. And I never want to forget it. I don't want to be reminded only one day out of the year of the sacrifices of our military. I hope to be mindful of that every day. But yesterday we observed Memorial Day in the United States, and we paid tribute and honor to those that we recruited, in some cases conscripted, and sent to war. Excuse me. I've never been blessed by so many Jews in my life. I thank you very much. I'm deeply grateful. And sneeze again, I'll get some more blessings, huh? Yes. Don't say that, it may happen. But every time that we sent people to serve our country, we always did so by fully equipping them with rifles and pistols, and in some cases swords and bayonets and bombs and grenades and airplanes and ships and all of the equipment and all of the latest equipment that we could possibly provide for them, because we believe that it would be nothing less than a sin to send them into battle without the proper equipment with which to fight that battle. I pay tribute tonight not only to those of you who are here, and I appreciate what you've done. I hope you will do more. I hope that, as Daniel so eloquently stated earlier, that you don't see your contribution as having been an attendee at the banquet, but rather making this the springboard for the investment you will make in helping to reclaim Jerusalem, the land that really does belong to you. But I remind you that there are some heroes that you support with your gifts. And they're nothing less than heroes, because I've been to some of the villages. In fact, Shani and I were talking, and one of the very homes that we visited is one of the homes where there's now the blood of one of the martyrs that has been spilled in that home. The fact is, we don't send those people to take those houses in sometimes very difficult neighborhoods and communities, and they don't go there with guns and bayonets and bombs and grenades and air cover. They go with sets of dishes, towels, chairs and tables, the simple things that you have in your home. But they do it with far less the protection, far greater the danger than we could possibly ever fully understand. And that's why, as ashamed as we would be to send our soldiers to battle without weapons, so it would be shameful not to send those families without the prayers, the full support, and the generosity that you can provide so that when they go, they know they're not alone. And they're going to create a beachhead and a foothold so that more will come after them. When that happens, I believe that and only that will be able to bring about the peace of Jerusalem. Since 587 BC, since the time of Nebuchadnezzar, there's been a systematic attempt to destroy the Jewish people from the face of the earth. And through every generation, there have been attempts to eradicate the Jewish people from even existing, much less owning their own land and living where God placed them. Tonight, I simply remind us all that God is faithful. He never, ever breaks his covenant with us. He has made a covenant with his people, and he will keep it. He only needs our cooperation. And I urge you to be cooperative with God. Build a great farm. Let it be everything that it was intended to be. And someday, as you wipe the sweat from your brow and look in your empty wallet, you will be able to say, you should have seen the place when he had it all by himself. He's looking for you to be his hands and his generous supporters. And I hope you will be. One final word. BDS is so misnamed. BDS should simply have the D removed because it's nothing more than BS. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen.